Good evening and welcome to the closing night of the Indian Film Festival of Melbourne. As you know, we've had amazing 11 days, over 40 films, over 20 premieres, 25 languages, and lots of guests, one of them being Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, of course. Thank you all for supporting the festival. Very, very happy to welcome our very special, delightful chief guest for the night, Ms. Konkona Sen Sharma. So I'll let her talk now.
Thank you, Neetu. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that all of you are here to watch our film today. Very excited to be here in Melbourne, my first time here in Australia, and really excited that Goynar Baksho, which means the jewelry box in Bengali, is the closing film of the Melbourne Indian Film Festival. This has been quite a journey for us, because Goynar Baksho is actually based on a short story written by Shishin Mukhopadhyay and is directed by Konkona Sen. This has been a dream project of ours, of my mother's, because she's been wanting to make this film for many, many years, but it's been very difficult to get funding for films that are, a little different, a little alternative, and not mainstream. Like we had a talk about this the other night. And the film essentially is about a jewelry box which is passed down through 3 generations of women. And with each passing generation, you see the relationship of the woman to the jewelry box and how it changes over the years. It also spans, the partition of the Bengals into Bangladesh and West Bengal. It's a statement really about women and their position, their economic position in society, and how that's been changing through the years. It's really fantastic that all of you are here to watch this today. I hope you really like the film. It's a comedy, but with a strong social statement. I hope that you will get a lot of the humor, because a lot of it is based, it's linguistic, because it's based on the Bangladeshi Bengali and the Indian Bengali, which is slightly different. And it's got a wicked sense of humor. And I'll be here after the film in case you guys have any questions. I'd love to hear your response, your feedback. So I hope you enjoy the film. Thank you.
This film captures somewhat, it's very interesting if you're a Bengali, because the dialect, that is the Bengali dialect of Bangladesh, the Bengali dialect of India in West Bengal is very different, and they have their own, rivalries and good-natured snobbishness about it as well. They have, opposing football teams, and so there's a lot of good-natured rivalry in that as well, and it's a more culturally specific world sometimes that we see in these kind of films. Often when we watch a mainstream film, I don't mean to be disparaging, but often when we watch a mainstream film, whether it's in Bengali or Hindi, you see just a prototype. So you see, just like a very generic kind of a, in Hindi films it'll always be like some Punjabi family. It's not really across India. Even in Bengali, it's just, it's not very specific, it's not very representative in that sense.
Firstly, could you tell us a little bit about the locations where that film took place? Because it reminded me of places I've been to in India and Calcutta. And secondly, where do you see your career in the next few years, in Bengali cinema or outside Bengali cinema?
Some of the locations were real, but a lot of it was on set. A lot of the interiors of the house was on set. Some of it was in Shantiniketan, Bolpur, outside Bolpur, some of the forest areas, especially with the lava and the train and things like that. That portion was in Bolpur, Birbhum.
A lot of it was in the set, and I think some of it was also some of the smaller towns in North Bengal, but I think I wasn't there for that bit, so I don't know specifically. What my career remains to be seen. I'm curious to know what I will be offered. So right now I'm quite comfortable doing films in Bengali, in Hindi, and well, hopefully sometimes a little bit in English as well. But it's not really in my hands. So I mean, you know, as I said earlier, actors are quite passive like that. It depends on what I'm offered. So I'm curious as well. This is my son, Harun. It's way past his bedtime. He's really sleepy at 90.
Hi. I actually was, I'm very happy to have Paul Cox here with us, who's a big supporter of the film festival. So I was telling Konkona about you and your work, Paul, and just wanted to know what you thought of the film to share from. And Paul's just back from shooting in India, his latest film. So just wanted to know what you thought about the film as well.
We're really happy to have you here.
Yes.
Very pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a wonderful film. I think the second half was a little bit different from the first half, but I was, up till the interval, was absolutely enthralled. I thought it was marvelous. And also within the Indian cinema, there's a spark happening that is very delightful to watch, you know. This is one of those films that I would recommend to everybody. You know, it gives you a feeling of what's going on, the depth of India, the background, the culture, etc. I was a little disappointed that it kept going in the end, that we should have stopped earlier. Then it would have been so great. But I thought it was marvelous, and I think the acting was absolutely splendid. Everybody was very, very good. Very impressive. A wonderful film. You know, a wonderful film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Konkona. Darun hoyeche. And I must say, when I was watching it, it was like watching Pedro Almodovar's film. It's very strong female characters, and the storyline, the sort of magical realism element to it was really great. That was my comments, and I have a question for you, is that you have worked with some great directors. You have worked with your mom, of course, Aparna Sen. You have worked with Mr. Bharadwaj. You have worked with Rituparna Ghosh. So they all have, I assume, different ways of making films. And how do they get the best out of you? Is it the same process that you follow with all directors, or are you a director's actress and you just go with what the director wants you to do?
I think I just go with what the director wants me to do, because everybody has a different process. And I find that I'm happy to be flexible to adapt to the director's vision or their process. My mother likes to do extensive workshops, and sometimes that's really necessary, because often in my mother's films, like in 15 Park Avenue, Mr. and Mrs. Iyer, this film, I have played characters which are really removed from myself. So in that sense, I think that kind of preparation really comes in handy. But there are times when, you know, in Rituparna Ghosh's films like Doshor and others, where I've played characters who are much closer to me in terms of, you know, culturally speaking, or even like, you know, historically, context-wise, they're much closer to me and easy, more accessible to me. So in those cases, you don't always need that much prep, but I'm usually happy to go along with whatever the director has in mind.
That's great, thank you. And one more question. You look lovely tonight. What are you wearing?
Thank you. I'm wearing an Anamika Khanna.
Great, thanks.
I had a question, if I may. You know how every actor, they say that when they hear the narration of a story, there is either one scene or one aspect of the character that just hooks them to the film and binds them and becomes the reason why they do the film. Is there any particular scene or any particular aspect of her character that drew you in?
Well, you know, when it's my mother's film, I would just do the film, regardless of, you know, what the character is, or if there's a hook or not, because I really like to work with her. She really knows how to push my buttons and use me to the fullest and make me work really hard and get the best out of me usually. In this film, of course, it was, Bishima, the old aunt, who was the fascinating character. And I think it's the relationship between Shomlata and Bishima which is the most interesting in the film. Because Bishima's really wicked and she's really mean and, and really deprived, etc. and cranky. And Shomlata's stammer actually is something which I really didn't want to do because I was really scared to do it. And I said, no, it'll be too over, let's not do that, let's avoid it. But my mom was very insistent that we do it. So that was the opposite of a hook for me because I was trying to get out of that one, but I couldn't.
So we'll take 2 more questions because we are running out of time. So yes.
Konkona, well, first you just mentioned the stammer. My mother has a terrible stammer, and that was probably one of the few times I've seen a sympathetic portrait of a stammer. It always goes for an easy joke, when you laugh. So, thanks for that. I was also at the talk you gave the other day, and you mentioned the role of detachment when you're preparing for a role, when you're doing a role. How can you do that when your mom is a director? How do you detach from that?
But my mom's a director. She's, I was talking about being detached from the part and also generally from the process of filmmaking because, well, I find that it helps me. Usually a set is so chaotic and the process is so fragmented that I think that if you're not too closely involved in why the props are like this, or why are the costumes like this, or why is that person, doing this, and why is that person taking focus so many times, and getting the why. Sometimes you're like in a light prison, because you can't move from here, you can't move from there. So it's best to be able to have that concentration and focus to just kind of detach from what's going around you, and get into your own world. So in that sense, it's nice to be detached, and I think it gives you some perspective on your role as well. But not to be detached from the character as such. Maybe that does help as well, but I think I was talking more specifically about a film set.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I feel like that for me, seeing this film was a really important expression of expositionally showing more about the female psyche. And the way that your mother and you have portrayed this journey, I think, is really important for women. And this is from a man, so what would I know? But and I would strongly encourage you, because I came to the talk you gave the other day, to pursue your interest in breaking down gender stereotypes and setting an amazing example for young women in India and around the world. So thank you, and keep going with that.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
We'll come to the end of the Indian Film Festival of Melbourne 2014. I got the year right this time. And thank you so much everyone for all your support and all the love that you've given the festival. This has easily been our biggest and most successful festival, and I thank you all for it. Please do send us all your thoughts and comments, what you would like to see, your suggestions at info@ifm.com.au, and a big round of applause for the lovely conference.